if it's Sunday, it's Sunday sunrise, and I'm down on Long Island. And a very happy Memorial Day to everyone out there. Shortly, the Monsignor will be starting his show. It's about 10 to 7. Yep, 10 to 7 in the morning here. And waiting for the Monsignor show today. It will be entitled Remembering. Absolutely, I'm very excited about it, just like I was last week when I was upstate New York. His show last week was entitled Boredom. On the road.
Every day of my life, I work till I ache my bones. At the end of the day, I take home my pay. Oh, tired out, I need till I see it run down from my eyes. Somebody, anybody find me? Somebody to love. Every day, I try. But everybody wants to put me down. They say I'm going crazy. That's right, I'm in my brain. Oh, I got a common man. He's got nobody left to
sampling of Queen, Long May They Reign. Absolutely. And now I'm at the 7-Eleven here on Long Island, and I'll be right back. The Monsignor will be out in a few minutes.
Welcome to another edition of Religion and Rock. I'm Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and here he is, our producer and engineer, Mr. Stephen Sheldon.
Hello there, sir. Happy Memorial Day weekend to you. I hope you're feeling okay.
Feeling better, yeah. I spoke at an event a couple of weeks ago on Monday, and everybody was exposed. A lot of people came down with COVID, as did I.
Yep.
So I was kind of proud of myself. 2.5 years, no COVID. Managed to squeak through. I was sort of asking God, saying, why not me? And
he answered.
Symptoms, and we got a phone call saying lots of people got sick, seriously, and pray for them. And I went to Mercy Hospital where they identified that I did have COVID. But before I had symptoms, I visited my dad, and my dad got COVID. So we're both taking the meds, and we both got vaxxed and boosted. So that's a big help.
Oh, that's good.
So all that is a good thing. By the time the show airs, I'm back out. I'm back out in society. So we'll see what happens.
Well, we hope so. You know, and you sound good, and we've made a lot of progress with dealing this in the last 2 years. So
minor symptoms, nothing to complain about compared to what people's going through.
Yes.
But anyway, we celebrate Memorial Day, and the fact that we are going to be out again, the fact that the summer mode kind of begins now, and we recognize that, and that's a great gift, you know. And then to remember the meaning of Memorial Day too, which is an important thing, right?
Yes. No, to remember that what this holiday is about, to remember those that had made us being able to have the holiday possible.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is that official or unofficial beginning of summer, which begins to change things in our hearts. So it's all about Memorial Day on Religion and Rock, celebrating the gift of Memorial Day and all the great things God's done in our lives. I don't know where you are, where you're from, but no matter who you are, you know what? Memorial Day does start a new kind of mode. And I like that. You know, like you take the shorts out. I know people wear shorts year round, you know. I see Mass at like St. Agnes Cathedral. There's a guy who goes with shorts every day to Mass, like even in the middle of February. And I'm like, I don't know how you're doing that now.
Hey, bless him, if he can manage it. But no, it's the sweaters away and the shorts come out. But
I like that, yeah.
It went way too fast. The May and June coming. It seems that the older we get, the faster the years go, too.
I was kind of, looking forward to this. So I'm kind of happy that, we're done with winter. Winter's long for me. So this was good. A lot of driving in snow. I'm not as good at that as I used to be, So I'm so glad it's over. We're moving on. That's a good thing. And Sheldon, I think of this, talking about Memorial Day, like thinking back and remembering all of our pals at BAB, station here on Long Island, which I love so much. One of our boys, Chris Lloyd, who I love so much, he a big giant promotion. That was like a rock and roll god now, you know? Like in charge of rock and roll music for like all this radio stuff. It's great. God bless him.
It is awesome seeing people that get promoted and go on to great things.
And I love the people at WBAB for so many years, and they've been so great to us. I think of all the ways that we've celebrated with them and the different moments. And this is naturally a time when we do celebrate with people. I mean, generally speaking, people come around. We have the barbecues this weekend and stuff. Yep. And there's something good about that, right?
Yeah, no, and it's a fun time to get together. But you have to remember what it's for, and it's good to get together now, especially after 2 years of this nonsense. To get outside and be with people, and remember everybody that's gone on in the last 2 years, and the veterans.
And I'm thinking too, like I said, this nonsense is when you live it now. It's story living the nonsense. It's a nice feeling to be able to get outside. My garden's planted. I'm ready to go. We get into a new mode now. We're celebrating that new mode on Religion and Rock, and all the time remembering what an important gift from God. That's what we're celebrating, that gift of remembrance and how important that is. And so to start us off on a show that celebrates remembering and Memorial Day, here's George Harrison, All Those Years Ago.
All right, now I'm just going to basically do the same things I normally do, which is just to say, if I know a song fairly well, I'm going to sing along. That's really what apartment karaoke is all about. I thank the Monsignor. I'm happy that he's feeling better. And, of course, this Memorial Day weekend, of course, they honor military, our military who have made the ultimate sacrifice and gone before us and given their lives in the defense of their country. But our hearts are also thinking about those million people, those million Americans that have died of COVID. And our hearts are also on those who have recently lost their lives down in Uvalde, the children, the teachers. And so now, of course, George Harrison, the legendary Beatle, his album, All Things Must Pass, created just really after the Beatles broke up. It's now available online. The special edition box set, which includes the party disc. Check it out online wherever you buy fine music. Great album put together by his son, Donnie Harrison. Let's go ahead and crank up this thing again. All Those Years Ago.
All those years ago.
I think I have my kazoo right here. In the center console. I picked it up. It's kind of like a little plastic kazoo. I might use that and join in on, maybe Malibu, some percussion. Of course, the great song written in honor and to remember the legendary late, great John Lennon, George Harrison's bandmate. Beautiful number.
The reason we exist.
Harrison to start us off all those years ago, we look back on our lives and we can think about our history. We can think about how God has blessed us with so many people that have helped us to be who we are today. People who have challenged us and loved us and taught us and coached us. Those people are a part of our lives, and we carry them with us always. We give them honor by how we live our lives. And even now, we have people in our lives who continue to guide us. Those people are a gift too. That's part of what we're called to celebrate and give honor to on Memorial Day weekend. We remember those people. Now, certainly, we remember the people in the military, right, and their tremendous sacrifice for our country. But also, after war, it's about keeping peace on the land, right, period, and being good neighbors and reaching out to one another and really living, the Gospels and then being kind to the stranger and neighbor and feeding the poor and all those things that we do every day. Those things really matter. And that's part of remembering that's so important in our lives. The people who are good to us kind of challenge us to be good to others. And that giving and giving creates a tradition of giving that's just so important, so integral to who we are. Here's Fleetwood Mac. This is called Never Going Back Again. Again, that's true in our lives, Hopefully the past teaches us something. Hopefully something that's gone wrong in the past teaches us something. Sometimes that's how we learn, right? We don't learn from a book what's wrong. Sometimes we learn from testing the waters and doing something that clearly doesn't work out and say, well, I'm never going to do that again. I'm not going to put myself in that position again. And I think it's about learning from the past, making ourselves cognizant of those areas in our lives where we say, well, this didn't work out and I can't put myself there again. Those things do make us better people. Those things help us to really celebrate how God is working in our lives. So never going back there again. That's part of our lives. There are moments and there's places and there's thoughts and there are, things we've done that we say, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to have that happen again. Well, it's up to us to kind of change that. It's up to us to create the history now. So memory serves us in a way to help us to grow too, help us understand. God calls us to that gift of remembrance so that we can recognize how we're called to be for the future, to remember not just the good, but also the bad, because it helps us to grow as who we are, which matters so much. Here's Def Leppard. This is called Photograph.
Now Def Leppard, Photograph. A lot of times I like to tell little anecdotes, and for example, June 2nd, 2019, Faye and I went to Madison Square Garden to see Billy Joel, and it was Joe Elliott. He was there. He poured sugar over all of us there at the concert, and it was an amazing show. We had a great time. I think of their great song, Foolin', which I included on my April Fool's show, April 2020. Lots of great songs with, Fool in the title. Fool on the Hill, the Beatles, absolutely. I had it. Now, sure, the other day I did it again, and it was blocked by YouTube. on some kind of copyright rap, but that's okay. I still have the original video in v.io. That's right. And of course, the censored version. A lot of songs made it through. A lot of those other songs, they just said, as long as you don't monetize. Let me make this perfectly clear. I'm not here to make money off of these artists. I'm not here to make any money, for example, off the Monsignor. As I've said on a previous Labor Day show a few years back, Harmon Karaoke is a labor of love. Absolutely. Now, talk about photographs. Yeah, yesterday, Faye and I down by the bay, Hexer State Park. And I was very happy to say the price has not gone up. Admission is still $8. However, the guy said it's going up in a few weeks. It's going up to $10. Now, as you know, Roger and JP were talking about on their show yesterday, their bit, you're going to get hit. That was pretty much what they said. Nowadays, you're going to get hit. You go to the gas station, expect to pay more. You go to the supermarket, expect to pay more. You got to pay your heating bills, you know. You got to get home heating oil, expect to pay more. You know, whatever you need, as Roger and JP said, expect to get hit. Yeah, my point, though, about being down by the bay is I took a lot of photographs there with my camera, which essentially is the phone that's recording this show, Black Velvet. That's right, it's a Velvet phone, Velvet LG, manufactured by Motorola and provided to me by Verizon. And no, there is no promotional fee paid. Look what I have done to this rock and roll sound. That's right, I've ruined the entire song. Folks, the song ain't ruined. You can pop into YouTube. My voice will not be in it. You can buy it online. Yeah, that's right. Buy the album online today. Enjoy, you know, and rock out. Now, so we're having a very interesting show today. We're remembering those that we lost and things that I've done in the past, you know. You know, boy, I could talk about a lot of things. I could go back to November 2019 and remind you, my fine listener, how the Monsignor had some very kind words for the late, great John Lennon.
Def Leppard photograph. I don't know if you have any photographs in your life that really illustrate your history. I know in my own life, there are a few pictures that I have around that just remind me of so much, you know, from when I was a kid or growing up or whatever it is. There are certain moments that mean so much to me. I have a picture of my mother and my father, with my mother being very sick with Alzheimer's, but you could see the love between them. And it's so real for me that picture brings me tremendous inspiration about marriage and my mom and dad. Just a tremendous thing. I like having it around. It matters for me to have that picture around. What are the pictures that we want to have around? You know, in the old days, you used to carry a couple of pictures in your wallet. You know, wallets, the wallet was the place where you kind of stored photos of the people who you love. Now we have our phones, right? What are those pictures that matter? I love when I see somebody's phone, you know, just the back screen, and I see that they, you know, the screen is their kids or the screen is their family. There's something so beautiful about that first photograph, that first memory, which matters more than anything. You know, the people we love, the people of our lives. God gives us these people, and we're called to be grateful always for what they have done in our lives and their role in our lives. Here's Linkin Park. This is called What I've Done.
Well, what I've done is I've taken a number of pictures, and I got them out there in Google Photos. Now, I was somewhat bragging to Faye just the other day. I said, Faye, I'm a star out here in Google Photos. That's right. They sent me this text, and sure, I do a screenshot of it, you know. 50,000 people have seen your photo. You are popular. And then, yes, I would go into that great hit with, of course, Peter Gabriel. she's so popular, and I would say it, I am so popular on Google Photos. So I take a lot of photographs, and I have a little bit of fun with it. Sometimes I take some videos. Well, I was just last weekend over there, Lake Cayuga, for those of you unfamiliar, the Finger Lakes in New York, Lake Cayuga State Park over there. And I took some videos, and it really had to do with, some Canadian geese and their chicks and stuff like that. And then when Google Photos asked me if I wanted to post that to other people who might be interested in going to that state park, I said, absolutely, go ahead and post it out there. Not only the videos, but, the 8 or 10 or so photos that I took of the park, and maybe that'll help other Google users. And I gave her a review of, the place and stuff. Yeah, I typed in a brief little thing. And then, and I do that on all of my travels whenever I can. Now, Malibu's really the star of apartmentkaraoke.com. A tip of my hat to my car, Malibu, and, of course, the song of the month. This month, May of 2022, as voted on by you, the listener, the great tune by Neil Young, Long May You Run. And, yes, I dedicate that to my car, Malibu. Of course, I want my car, Malibu, to run forever. That's right. And I love my car, as many Americans do. Take care of my car, get it all the required repairs. And, of course, Malibu running fantastically following major repairs over the last month. That was covered very, very deeply in the April thing, and how Malibu got repaired at 112 Chevy. Malibu's brain was fried. Can you believe that? Malibu's brain was completely fried. An ECM, electronic control module, the main central computer of Malibu, as it was explained to me through several service representatives. So yes, Malibu is sharp. And yesterday, on the show, I talked about her mileage, and I took a photograph of it at the time. On the show, I said, I'm going to take a photo, and the number was 129999. That's right. I made a big to-do about 99. That's right, 99. The Get Smart character, as well as 86 Maxwell Smart. And, of course, the great song by Toto, 99, was sung. I'd do it again, absolutely. And other things. Now, getting back to John Lennon, who I name-dropped a little while ago when I said that to Monsignor back in November, he was very kind in his remarks, talking about the spirituality of the man, the greatness of the man. When the Monsignor mentioned the John Lennon-based DVD, and above us, only sky, of course, a lyric from Imagine. And so imagine that. And so now Malibu's miles... 130042. Yeah, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned.
Wiping the slate clean, and that happens sometimes in our lives too. Like when we look back, we say, boy, I really need to be forgiven for this or for that. I really need to let go of the hurt from this or from that. And in our religion, in our faith, we have this tremendous sacrament of reconciliation, this sacrament of penance. Where you go, it gets teased about a lot, but you go to confession, you let it go, and it's gone. There's something beautiful about that. The sincerity of forgiveness, the love that God has for us that forgives anything that we've ever done. It's an amazing gift. We're called to recognize that opportunity for a clean slate that's always there. The same is true, I think, in relationships. Now, I'm not saying, you can get back a relationship that's gone sour. Not necessarily, right? But we can get back as far as letting it go. We can get back as far as not living in the pain or the guilt, but being able to let it go with God's help. That's an important part of our lives, too, that we're called to be able to let go of past pains and past hurts so that we can grow in the future and continue to love and do the good things we're called to. Hey, I'm Monsignor Jim. You're listening to Religion and Rock. It's the big weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. We're celebrating remembrance. Here's Don McLean. This is called American Pie.
A long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance that I could make those people dance, and maybe they'd be happy for a while. Shiver with every paper I deliver. Oh, bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Did you write the book of love? Do you have faith in God above? If the Bible tells you so. Do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul? And can you teach me how to dance real slow? Well, I know that you're in love with him, 'cause I saw you dancing in the gym. You both kicked off your shoes, and I dig those rhythm and blues. I was a lonely teenage rockin' buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck, but I knew I was out of luck the day the music died. I started singing bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Now for 10 years we've been on our own. Moss grows fat on a rolling stone, but that's not how it used to be. When the jester sang for the king and queen in a coat he borrowed from James Dean, and a voice that came from you and me. Oh, and while the king was looking down, the jester stole his thorny crown. The courtroom was adjourned. No verdict was returned, and violin read a book on Marx. The quartet practiced in the park, and we sang dirges in the dark. The day the music died, we were singing bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove the Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Helter skelter in summer swelter, the birds flew off with a fallout shelter. 8 miles high and falling fast. The landed drop on the grass. The players tried for a forward pass, with the jester on the sidelines in a cast. Now the halftime air was sweet perfume, while the sergeants played a marching tune. We all got up to dance, but we never got the chance. The players tried to take the field, the marching band refused to yield. Do you recall what was revealed today? The music died. We started singing bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Oh, and there we were all in one place, a generation lost in space, with no time left to start again. So come on, Jack, be nimble, Jack, be quick. Jack Flash sat on a candlestick, 'cause fire is the devil's only friend. Oh, and as I watched him on the stage, my hands were clenched in fists of rage. No angel born in hell could break this Satan spell, and the flames climbed high into the night to light the sacrifice. children screamed, the lovers cried, and the poets dreamed, but not a word was spoken. The church bells all were broken, and the three men I admire most, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, they caught the last train for the coast. The day the music died, and they were singing, bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry, and then good old boys were drinking whiskey and rum, singing, this'll be the day that I die, this'll be the day that I die. They were singing, bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die.
We have those American Pie moments, don't we? When something has happened in the past, even in history, and we never quite forget it. We live it every day forever and ever. Think about September 11th, right? How so many of us were affected by that day. We live it forever and ever. You never quite forget that. I think about every year, believe it or not, December 8th, when John Lennon was killed. I never quite forgot that day, and I remember it every year when December 8th comes. Of course, it's the Feast of the Immaculate Conception in our church, but at the same time, I always think about John Lennon too, because I remember that night. And I'll never forget that night, way back in college when somebody ran into my room and said that he was shot and killed. We have those moments, these American Pie moments. Hopefully those moments are not just these nostalgic moments or moments where we remember pain, but moments when we remember hope, moments when we remember something coming out of that. When I think of 9/11, I don't just remember pain anymore. I remember hope. I remember how people reached out to one another and the kindness of America that was staggering, how we looked out for one another. There's something about that I pray for every day, that we can be a hopeful people and a kinder, gentler people and recognize those moments. So yeah, part of memory is remembering the pain, but also how we've triumphed over the pain and the difference that makes. Hey, here's Jeff Lynne. This is called When I Was a Boy.
When I was a boy, I'd go over to my friend's house, and other people would come over and we'd play a lot of these great rock and roll songs. Sure, we would sing an American Pie, absolutely. And I would still do it to this very day. And of course, all honor to Don McLean. Sometimes I do a Starry, Starry Night. Yep, and there's a story about that and a certain set of swim trunks that Faye bought for me at a Kohl's. Yeah, the Starry, Starry Night swim trunks. And I would talk about that or anything else. Now, of course, a tip of my hat to Weird Al Yankovic. And yes, I'm serious. I definitely would. Because in all honesty, more times than not, if I'm singing that particular melody, it is with Weird Al and his parody of American Pie, which I'm sure most of you are aware has to deal with, the first Star Wars movie, The Phantom Menace. It's called The Saga Begins. And it's the same, it's the same melody. And it's the same spirit of the thing. And in terms of Star Wars, I could talk about that for a couple hours, but I'm not going to. Once again, the Monsignor with the kind remarks regarding the late, great John Lennon. He says, December 8th, I also remember it all the time. What that happens, as well as the man's birthday, October the 9th. I'll never forget, it was Dr. O, the guy I used to work with upstate. Now, Dr. O, he had to go, folks. He's practicing in another state. He's down in Virginia, but I won't tell you the name of the town. He's fine. I'm just saying, he also a huge John Lennon fan. You went into his office at the time. There was a sketch of John Lennon on the wall. It talked about Beatles. Well, fair amount. For example, my that night that they rolled out the red carpet in my recruiter said, they're rolling out the red carpet for you, David. I said, that's fantastic. We had dinner the night before my job interview. The doctor was sitting next to me, and he said, David, I saw a movie last night. It's called Yesterday. It's kind of like a Beatles film. And let me explain to you what happened. He didn't tell me the whole movie, just enough to set it up about how Jack, the only guy who could remember the Beatles' music, seemingly, and it's a fantastic film. And I'm not going to ruin the whole thing. I could, do a couple of plot points, talk about John Lennon, how at, the end of the film, Jack found him, and how John gave him a hug after Jack said, "Could you give me a hug?" Now, I've ruined it for many people who have not seen the thing. Yesterday, Faye and I were driving, and she heard my version of Across the Universe, and she said, that's a great film. I said, right, Faye, that's part of the I thought in my head, that's part of the routine. I talked about the film yesterday, the 2019 film, and then Faye and I, after we saw that one, after Dr. O told me about it, then we went and we saw Across the Universe, a fine Beatles film from around 12 years earlier, if I'm not mistaken, as the bit goes. And then I could talk about that film and some of the music that was done in it. It was all Beatles tunes, absolutely. But yeah, I'm going to do a little time travel later after the Monsignor show today.
Jeff Lynne, when I was a boy. Well, that's something we kind of all live in certain ways in our lives. When I was a little boy, when I was a little girl, something about that in our lives that's sort of nostalgic, but also romantic, right? I have hanging in my closet. I know this sounds crazy. My first communion suit. Why do I have it? Because I found it in our house. My mom had it dry cleaned and it was hanging on a hanger in plastic for whatever it was, 50, 60 years. It's hanging there on a hanger. So crazy, right? But I never quite forgot, and I kept that little suit around. Hard to believe I ever fit in that thing, But at the same time, the reality is, that was a great moment in my life. What a tremendous reminder that is, when I was a boy and I received First Holy Communion, and the family and gathering together, never quite forgot it. Those moments are kind of things we need reminders of. Maybe you have, a baseball from the old days, or your mitt, or whatever it is. We remember those moments, and those moments matter, and sometimes we need the reminder of those moments. And there's nothing wrong with a couple of things around, I think anyway, that help us to remember those things, because that's sort of what the American flag does in some ways, right? Helps us to remember, but also points us forward to who we are now. So there's that kind of memory that's such an important part of our lives. Here's Creed, One Last Breath.
Okay, I'm not going to sing anything at all. No, I'm just going to let this thing happen.
Please call love a thing of falling. What you seem to found the road to nowhere, and I'm trying to escape. I am back when I heard thunder, but I'm down to one last breath. And with it, let me say,
breath, in our lives, there are things we need to say, right? I think about that before. Like certain things we want to say to people. You want to be able to say, I love you. I mean, so many people tell me, I never get to say I love you to my dad or my mom, and I think about that every time I talk to my dad on the phone. I say, I love you before I hang up the phone. Like there's something kind of important about those things, saying the things we need to say now. And it's a great, I think, comfort in knowing that we've said it, in knowing that the things that needed to get said got said, and that happens even with friends and with family. It's important to be able to do that. Sometimes it's the tough things of life, but other times it's just the beautiful things of life. And it's such an important reminder to us really all the time to say those beautiful things and say those things that matter, so that it's not just in those last moments, that we're doing this, but all through our lives, saying what we really mean. And that makes a difference tremendously. And here's Skid Row, I Remember You. remember a specific person in our lives is such an important thing to be able to do. I mean, maybe you could think of somebody, maybe somebody who's super important this day, maybe somebody who's not necessarily a super important person, but a person who played a role in your life. Those remembering moments, I think, are holy moments. Think about when we go to church, Jesus says, take this, all of you, and eat of it. This is my body. Do this in remembrance of me, right? Remembrance. That's such an important thing. When we remember, we kind of make present. And there's something important about that. These people in our lives who we love so much, it's important to remember them in such a way that they matter. Now, we have people who are living like that. I think about a guy, Ralph Rienzo. Maybe some of you know him. He was my gym teacher when I was in grammar school. He was so kind and so outgoing and so friendly. I never forgot that. And I got to meet him a couple of times as an adult and spend some time with him. And I was always really very grateful to him in saying that, how grateful I was for his kindness. The kindness of other people help us to remember in such a way that our childhood is beautiful, that these moments of our lives are beautiful. You may want to remember and thank God for somebody today, living or deceased, who's been a part of your life, big or small, and have taught you about that great gift of friendship that matters more than anything. Here's Frank Zappa, Joe's Garage.
Just enough room to cram the drums in the corner room about a Dodge. It was a 54 with a mashed up door and a cheesy little lamp, with a sign on the front said Fender Champ and a second-hand guitar. It was a Stratocaster with a whammy bar. We could jam in Joe's Garage. His mama was screaming, turn it down. We was playing the same old song. In the afternoon, sometimes we were playing all night long. It was all we knew, and easy to do, so we wouldn't get it wrong. Even if we played it on the saxophone. We thought we was pretty good. We talked about keeping the band together. We figured that we should. Cause about this time we was getting the eyes on the girls in the neighborhood. They'd all come over and dance around like. So we picked out the stupid names. Had some funks turn it up for a couple of bucks, and we was on our way to fame. Got a fashion suits and Beatles blues and a sign on the back of the car, and we was ready to work in a go-go bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, let's see if you got some more. People seem to like our style. They got up and danced with me, but my thoughts in the world before very long. A guy from the company, we get things that we always take to spare. And sign on the line for a real good time, but he didn't tell us where. These good times could be something that was really happening. So the band rolled out, and it looks like we will never play again. Guess you only get one chance in life to play a song that goes like. Well, the years is rolling by. Snotty boys with lipstick on.
Zappa Joe's Garage. Interesting one, reminded me of the days of the garage band. I was in a garage band named Free Parking. Oh boy, was that fun. And we'd be practicing and playing the same old song and jamming on it forever. We when we were kids, we did all these crazy things, right? We played, we had the baseball team, we had the stickball team, we raised vegetables and sold them in the street. We opened up a vegetable garden with everybody else's vegetables. It's kind of fun. Those are the things that make us who we are today. And I think it's about the simple things sometimes, Life gets complicated fast, but we're called to kind of celebrate the simple and recognizing in memory, sometimes it's the simple things that we remember, The first time you ever had a Slurpee. I know that sounds crazy, right? I can remember that. Why? I don't even know. But I remember it was a hot summer night. My dad brought him home. And I was like, this is the best thing I ever had in my life. It's a funny thing, right? I haven't had a Slurpee in a very long time. But there's something to remember about sitting with your family and enjoying that. Those memories build us and help us to remember family and to live our lives. It's an important reality for all of us. Here's David Bowie. This is called Heroes.
Now, no disrespect to the late, great David Bowie. I love David. I absolutely do. More times than not, if I'm going to do a David Bowie, in all honesty, it's going to be, it's going to be Space Odyssey, and then I'm going to do some other space stuff, like, for example, Rocket Man with Sir Elton John, or maybe a Peter Schilling song, Coming Home, Major Tom. Sure, things like that. Actually, it happened yesterday on Extreme Overtime, the Saturday show. It did. Well, it was WBAB. They're the ones responsible. They played, several great songs, including Rocket Man, and I just cranked it up, as loud as I could and did it, absolutely. Now, I asked Faye, did you hear me popping out of that Rocket Man with Sir Elton John? She said, no, I don't hear you. I said, Faye, I was singing at the top of my voice. That must mean I'm doing fine, If you can't hear me, coming out like in a cringeworthy kind of way of any of these great songs, whether it was that one or the Stairway to Heaven on yesterday's program, or indeed the American Pie earlier. Now, there's so many great things. The Monsignor mentions he was in a garage band. I was not. And we did some stuff in my garage, but it was not rock and roll. It was not. I was in baseball, Little League, Tri-Village. I tip of my hat, a tip of my Mets cap, which I have right here, to, Little League. And, of course, the baseball boys are here, as I talked about yesterday, at the hotel, the Through These Walls Hotel. And no, I'm serious. They actually were running all around and stuff like that. They have a lot of energy, these baseball boys. And they're in uniforms this morning and heading out to play. A beautiful day here on Long Island, 61 degrees, 10 minutes to 8. The Monsignor's show will be off soon. Mine will be a little longer, obviously, moving forward. But yeah, the baseball boys, they commandeered the elevator. There's been some buttons broken there, and they were kind of like trampolining off their beds onto the floor, bam, 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 and having, just having a lot of fun for kids. Now, my baseball league, Tri-Village, my team, well, it was the Comanches. I'm just going to be honest about, yes, it was named after Indian tribe. My dad was the manager, coach, and all that stuff. Yeah, my dad. And, I talk about my dad and how, those of you who follow my show, lost my dad back in 2018. Yes, I've talked about that. And it's important to remember those that we loved, and that's the way we do it. So, yes, I was. And we played, sometimes we played well and we win a game, sometimes not so well and we'd lose. And I talk about, how I would handle it, if I was like, let's say it was 2 outs, the bottom of the ninth, I'm on second base. I'm the winning run and stuff like that. And, my friend, M, he's at bat. Now, M is a guy, lives in Pennsylvania. I talked about him, especially on his birthday, August the 14th of last year when I was there at the birthday party and stuff like that. But let's say he's at bat, right? And so I'm on second base, Now, here's the pitch. It's a fastball. M hits the ball. It's a line drive up the middle, And so I'm off with the crack of the bat, And, here I come. I'm rounding third. Here's the throw at the plate. I dive in. He's safe. The Comanches win. That's right. And, my friend M, the RBI, I with the run score. It's a very exciting thing. And those things happened back in the day. And they do on to this very day. Did you know here on Long Island there's a place called Baseball Paradise? And I can tell you how to get there, my fine listener. You take the LIE, and I tell you, don't lie. You take the LIE to around 101. That's like exit 67, 66, 67 in there. And if you just, when you get off that exit, on the right, you'll see many ball fields, all of them. Well, if you go by at night, you can't miss the place. It's a massive amount of light. And you can't miss baseball heaven. It's certainly out there. and paradise. Sure, I talk about the Mets. First place in, of course, the National League East. Now, on my video of the Canadian Geese at that, state park, Lake Cayuga, I kind of got excited and I mischaracterized the league that the Yankees were in. Yeah, I said something stupid, And I said, darn, why did I? The Yankees are clearly in the American League East. Last time I checked, first place, both teams. Could it be Subway Series? Now, I mentioned that to Faye. He says, well, don't they have that all the time, the Subway Series? I said, no, Faye, not just regular games. I mean postseason play. The World Series, the Mets and the Yankees. Last time it happened was 2000. My Mets went down to defeat, Yeah, they lost that series 4-1. But if there's another, obviously I'm going to be rooting for the Mets. Now, if the Monsignor's show wasn't in progress, I would do it. I would play it from YouTube, post it out there by Fiona Peakall, the Mets theme song, the Mets fight song. Meet the Mets, greet the Mets, step right up, and the whole thing, And of course, what happens after the song on the video, which is kind of cool, they do a time warp. They take you back to the Mets' first game of all time, played out there in St. Louis like 1962. You got Bob Murphy, Ralph Kiner, Lindsey Nelson on the broadcast, and then they introduce both teams, the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals, and there's a lot of future All-Stars playing on that day in April of 1962. And they don't provide the whole ball game, although they could have, and I would have been fine with it. They just provide the initial introductions, and all the advertisements, Rheingold beer. You guys remember Rheingold and all that stuff? This is just a major talkover. And then in a few minutes, the Monsignor show's almost done, and that's fine. Let's head on back.
David Bowie, heroes. There is a sense of being a hero sometimes in this world. Who are the people who are heroes to us? Well, they're the people who make a difference. They're the people who volunteer. They're the people who sacrifice. Those people are the ones that we call heroes. Well, today is a day we remember heroes. We remember war heroes who kept freedom in our country, who continue to keep freedom for our country, who protect our borders, protect us. And then we remember those other heroes, right? The frontliners. I have now experienced all the frontliners, being that I had COVID. And I recognize, wow, what a tremendous sacrifice these people make every day. We celebrate the heroes of our lives. We thank God for the gift of the heroes. And then if you want to look for the formal heroes, those are our saints. We pray to our saints. We ask them to help us to grow too and understand God in our lives. So enjoy this weekend. It's an extra day off. Get yourself an extra hot dog, maybe a hamburger. I'm going to have a lamb burger. Yeah, enjoy something extra this weekend and celebrate the gift of memory. Those things that made us who we are, the things we celebrate every day. God is with us every day, calling us to remember. You've been listening to Religion and Rock. It's hosted by me, Monsignor Jim Vlaun. It's engineered and produced by the great man of remembrance, Stephen Chaldone. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and don't forget, say a prayer.
Okay, lest we forget, and go ahead and say a brief prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we'd like to thank you for the Monsignor show, Religion and Rock, and today's message on remembering. Lord, we thank you. We thank you for the power that you provide to us in being able to remember and for all the memories. And Lord, on this Memorial Day, we ask that you allow us to remember those that have given their lives for their country. We ask, Lord, you to help us remember those people in our lives that have died in our country and those that we shall never forget. And we ask for this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so the time is 7:56 a.m. And so what I like to do is I always love to find out what WBAB, what tune they come out of Religion and Rock with. There's a couple of times they played some songs that, they let's just say that they have a sense. I'm not even going to say what they've done before. Let's find out what they're doing now.
Away
Long Island, New York, USA. The 102.3 WBAB Memorial Day Weekend Classic Rock Block Party.
That's right. This is fantastic. Now, of course, those of you that follow my program, you know that last week the Monsignor show was entitled Boredom. I was upstate New York picking it up live from WBAB 102.3 via iHeart streaming radio. And that after that show was over, the Monsignor show on Boredom last week, I did a time travel, and I'm going to do one right now again, and talk about remembrances and the memories and taking you back. Now, in this case, to May the 30th of last year, almost a year ago to this very day, Sunday Sunrise, in which I said it included Religion and Rock with Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and his show is on part 1 and is entitled Remembering, and then I wrote there is only one part today, which is somewhat unusual for a Sunday Sunrise. For whatever reason, I only did a one-part show that day. So here we go back. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday Sunrise. My name is David Williams. I'm here today at Expressway Plaza, which is on exit 63 of the Long Island Expressway, right off the expressway. It's a Long Island strip mall, a shopping center, if you will. And I used to live here for a few months. It was back in 2019, before I got the apartment in Sayville. That's right, the Fairfield Knolls. And I didn't get in there until like the end of July. But, I was living here for a while. And we're going to have the Monsignor out here in a moment with his program called Religion and Rock. And I'm looking forward to the Monsignor show today, as always. And, last week was kind of a different show. I was upstate New York at the Two Heart Sunglasses supermarket. I had overslept. Today I did not. It's 6:55 a.m. Last week I overslept. My alarm clock on my phone didn't go off or something to that effect. And so, fortunately for me, all of the Monsignor's programs are online available to listen to at religionandrock.com. And that's where I got the show from. It was entitled Fighting Boredom. That's right, Fighting Boredom. I said on the program, it is a long story. It had said on the website that it was going to be regarding relationships, reflecting on relationships. But then when I got onto it, it wasn't that. It was a show entitled Fighting Boredom. And that was fine. I believe I remembered hearing this particular program before. I thought it was probably a rerun, but I just went ahead and did it fine. And then I talked on the program about just kind of thinking out loud, should I send an email to Religion and Rock and let them know that the wrong show is posted, or just let it go, Or if I sent an email to Religion and Rock regarding that the wrong show is posted, should I, include an audio version of my show, Sunday Sunrise, or maybe just that, portion of it that includes the Monsignor show? And I said, nah, I didn't do that. I didn't do the latter, but I did the former. I sent them an email. And then yesterday I was with Faye inside the hotel room at Hotel X, as I announced earlier on Friday, I believe, when I came down here, that I was dubbing that apartment Hotel X, obviously not its real name. It does have one of those, code names that Faye and I share, but they wouldn't like for me to say it on the show, so I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. Now, of course, 2 weeks ago when I was down on Long Island visiting Faye, I was at the Through These Walls Hotel, And Through These Walls Hotel is named after a song of Phil Collins's. Those of you that follow my program, you know that I name my cardiovascular ultrasound machine in his honor, Phil 2, as well as the first machine before we got the upgrade was named Phil in honor of Phil Collins. I've talked about it a number of times on the program. And I'm just saying. So anyway, long story short, I was with Faye yesterday in the room. We watched a few things on my tablet, Aces. This is, for those of you just joining, this is what I call a rewind, going back in time and remembering. And for me, for the first time, I mean, I don't remember this stuff. And in a way, for myself personally, that's one of the great things about apartmentkaraoke.com and the songboard. You can go in on the songboard. I went find, I typed in the word remembering. And immediately it jumped to May the 30th of last year, back to myself from the past. Those was Sausage Party. It's like kind of like a cartoon movie, you understand, about food items that are animated, whether it be a hot dog by the name of Frank, a bun by the name of Brenda, or what have you, There's a lot of different interesting characters in the thing, and not exactly a children's movie. There's a lot of language, naughty language in the film, and a lot of naughty stuff, I must say, that goes on. But we had wanted to see it. We first saw the promo for it when we saw Elton John's film Rocket Man. You know how when you go to a movie house, we went to Island 16 here on Long Island, and before the movie they had the promos for other films. Well, there it was, Sausage Party, and we had talked, gee, that sounds like a funny movie. We'd like to see that movie sometime. And we finally got around to watching it. I popped onto my tablet Asus, and I rented it. It wasn't available for free in YouTube. And so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching the film with Faye, I did. And then we watched a little of something else. I forget the name of the film. It was with Robert De Niro, John Travolta, and, the gist of it is John Travolta once again plays the bad guy. No, that's fine. As he did last time I talked about the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, plays a bad guy. And, Robert De Niro plays a veteran, having fought for his country back in, I suppose, the 90s in Bosnia and stuff. And this guy comes out there looking for him, looking to do him harm, basically, to hunt him down. That was the nature of it. And then Faye's like, do you really want to continue watching this? And I said, no, we don't have to watch it. So we stopped watching it. But anyway, I don't know where all this is leading to, the fact. But, had a wonderful day with Faye now. And I just ran into a guy, at the Hotel X. A guy that Faye and I have known for several years at Hotel X. His name begins with the letter E. E is in Edward, but his name is not Edward, And, shook his hand and stuff like that. And he asked after Faye, and he did. And I said, well, she's not here right now, He said, I thought I might have saw her yesterday going into the elevator. And I said, it's possibly he might have. It is possible. So anyway, I'm sitting here, and I don't think I have the kind of time to really go into a long digression. They were just talking about TMJ. Again, they were just talking about TMJ. What's that? Temporomandibular joint? Medically, sure, but I'm sure it has to do with initials of various people. And so again, this is just a rewind going back to almost a year ago to this very day. Myself obviously stalling, waiting for the Monsignor's show to start. And I'm sitting here, and I'm listening to it. And I'm like, this is like, this is how you do it. And then you just kind of go back to the past again. And then, it's like this temporomandibular joint thing. And it's a very complex thing. And I think they had some expert on it. And it was Roger. It was Roger doing Plugged Into Long Island this morning. I haven't heard that before. And, of course, it reminds me of a couple of things. One, it reminds me that they've got a big announcement. Roger and JP, I think he said 8 p.m. on Tuesday. a big announcement to make. I told Faye about it. I said, Faye, it sounded kind of serious. They said, we've got a big announcement. You have to hear it. I told Faye about it yesterday. Then it's going to be Tuesday at 8. And she says, oh, well, maybe they're ending their show. And I said, oh, I don't know. You got to wait, But I remembered that. And speaking of which, that is the title of the Monsignor show today. I got that. But I must say, just for those of you listening, so there's no suspense, their announcement was to the effect that they were doing a primetime show, not leaving WBAB 102.3, but having a primetime show, which I've had the privilege to listen to, and it's a fantastic show. They typically do a morning show, I believe Monday through Saturday. Now back to the best. If they've got it, correctly loaded up, I believe that's probably what it will be, is remembering. And I said to Faye last night in the hotel room, I said that's a great topic for my show. I mean, I talk about that particular topic on the program all the time, remembering. Hey, do you remember this? Do you remember that? The importance of remembering. And then there was a lot of tunes with that topic in there about remembrance and things of this nature. Phil comes to mind. No, I'm serious. Phil comes to mind with his song, Do You Remember, from his album. But seriously, is that the Monsignor's theme song? I think it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Monsignor Jim Vlaun. Now, the reception, not that good where I am. We'll see. I might have to move my location. It's I think it's the weather. It's raining out, cloudy. It's not really good.
Welcome to another edition of Religion and Rock. I'm Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and here is our producer and engineer, 2 for 1, Stephen the Man Sheldon.
Happy Memorial Day weekend to you, sir.
You're a bargain.
You're 2 for 1. I'm a BOGO.
Absolutely a bargain. I love it. So, Sheldon, you and I this week marks up this week in a special way.
Mm-hmm. We actually met. We physically got together at your offices and had a very nice lunch, a nice chat for the first time in over a year.
So Sheldon and I have been doing the show, but we do it virtually, and we see each other on the video screen, but we're not able to be with each other. Now we actually got together last week. I thought it was great. It was good to see you.
No, it was awesome.
It was a reminder to me that we should do that more often. Like, we don't do that ever. We should do that.
But this is the first time in over 3 years of doing the show that we've never seen each other. We've done a year.
Nice thing. So good to see you. And we're celebrating Memorial Day, which is the ceremonial start of summer.
Yes.
But also a time of remembering, that people have gone before us. So we're talking a little bit about remembering today. Remembering is an important thing. I mean, it marks all of the big moments of our lives, right? When you think about different moments where we, have celebrated, and then you go back, you can think of them like they were just yesterday, right?
Oh, no, you remember everything. Important events, communions, weddings, all that stuff centers around.
Graduation, you remember it?
See your graduation. We put a song in for you later on for that.
Yeah, those memories are really important. So I think there's something, really good about that. So we're going to talk about remembering on Religion and Rock today and see the power of memory. You kind of alluded to it before, Sheldon. I did this supervisors roundtable show today. It was with Angie Carpenter.
Okay.
So she's an ISO-10 supervisor and a friend of mine for a very long time, and just a very, very good and very nice woman.
This woman.
I have to tell you truthfully, I do love her. She's just really great. She really is. I haven't married her kids and baptized her grandkids. I just love them a long time. But anyway, we got onto this thing. It was supposed to be like Monsignor Jim talks about COVID, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then she started talking about food. And we started the entire show talking about food. And the entire show was about food.
Yep.
But that's a great memory. Like, if you think about it, food marks our darn lives, right?
Everything has, is really tied to food. It's a nice commonality. If you take two enemies and put them in a room and ask them what their mama cooked for them that they like, they would both have something that their mama's cooked,
And what is worship? For Christians, worship is gathering in a church with a table in the center and the meal. It's all about that. It's the meal that's
Wow.
She was saying that she had gone to a mosque for a celebration.
I'm just going to pause it right there. You heard that loud thing. And the question then, in my mind is, was that now or was that then? And so I'm checking it out. It's now. That's right. And what is it? Well, it's a friend of mine. Her name begins with the letter G, and it's her birthday today. Happy birthday to G. Now, I will say this about that. The one thing that's great about doing one of these rewind shows is, again, the same rules don't apply as if it's live. If it were live, I would never, ever interrupt the Monsignor or Stephen Sheldon while they're talking. You understand? But when it's a rewind, well, a rewind is a rewind. And now it's time for a musical interlude. And one of these songs dealing with this subject of remembering. So oftentimes I would do You Remember? No, I'm serious, with Phil Collins from his album Serious, But Seriously, or the live version from Serious Hits Live. We could do a live or studio version of Do You Remember? Or I could do The Way We Were. That's right, I would join Barbra Streisand in The Way We Were, a song that talks about memories, or any other kind of tune, and the music, that we remember, and the power of the music. Any song about the past, really.
When I was young, I'd listen to the radio, waiting for my favorite songs. When they played, I'd sing along. It made me smile. Those were such happy times, and not so long ago. How I wondered where they'd gone. But they're back again, just like a long-lost friend. All the songs I love so well. Every shout, every woe still shines. Every shingling that started to sing so fine. When they get to the part where he's breaking her heart, it can really make me cry, just like before. It's yesterday once more. Looking back on how it was in years gone by, and the good time that I had, makes today seem rather sad. So much has changed. It was songs of love that I would sing to them, and I'd memorize each word. Those old melodies still sound so good to me as they melt the years away. Every shot, every woe still shines. Every shingling that they're starting to sing so fine. All my best memories come back clearly to me. Some can even make me cry, just like before. It's yesterday once more. Every shot, every woe still shines. Every shingling that's starting to sing so every shot, every woe still shines.
Every sha-la-la-la. And still to this very day, fantastic tune. The Carpenters, again, I named my songboard Sing in their honor. I'll be right back with another flashback memory to where we were before, of course, which was the 30th of May, 2021. Okay, now here's the thing of it. And usually their show, it sounds a heck of a lot better than that, just a heck of a lot better. And so I'm going to do something I don't think I've ever done before here in the, 2.5 years or so that I've been doing this program. I am going to actually, even though I'm up early enough to catch it live, again, the reception isn't good, I think because of atmospheric conditions. So I'm going to go into Religion and Rock, and that little segment, we're just going to play that again. We're going to play it again from, again, the Monsignor's website, religionandrock.com. So I'm switching over to Bluetooth now. And I am sorry, and I ask for your, understanding.
Oh, no, that's fine, David, of the past. I
I'm
completely
experiencing here in the
understand.
studio
No, don't worry.
from the
No,
Expressway
that's
Plaza
fine. You fixed it
in
now. It's all
Farmingville.
good. It's all good.
Exit 63 of the LIE. So here we go. Monsignor Jim Vlaun once again.
Welcome to another edition of Religion and Rock. I'm Monsignor Jim Vlaun, and here is our producer and engineer, 2 for 1, Stephen the Man Sheldon.
Happy Memorial Day weekend to you, sir.
You're a bargain. You're definitely
2 for 1. I'm a BOGO.
absolutely a bargain. I love it. So, Sheldon, you and I this week were marked this week in a special way.
Mm-hmm. We actually met. We physically got together at your offices and had a very nice lunch, nice chat for the first time in over a year.
So Sheldon and I have been doing the show, but we do it virtually, and we see each other on the video screen, but we're not able to be with each other. Now we actually got together last week. I thought it was great. It was good to see you.
No, it was awesome.
It reminded me that we should do that more often. Like, we don't
Yes.
do that ever. We should do that.
But this is the first time in over, 3 years of doing the show that we've never seen each other every single week at least
Right.
once.
Exactly
That's,
right.
we've got a year.
Kind of a nice thing. So it was good to see it. And, we're celebrating Memorial Day, which is a ceremonial start of summer.
Yes.
Also a time of memory, a time of remembering the people who've gone before us. So we'll talk a little bit about remembering today. Remembering is an important thing. I mean, it marks all of the big moments of our lives, right? Like, you think about different moments where we, have celebrated. I mean, you go back, you can think of them like they were just yesterday, right?
Oh, no, you remember everything. Important events, communions, weddings, a lot of stuff centers
High school
around.
graduation, I can remember it.
Senior graduation.
Look at all of that.
We put a song in for you later on for that.
Yeah, those memories are really important ones. So I think there's something, really good about that. So we're going to talk about remembering on Religion and Rock today and see the power of memory. To start us off, this is Bill Morrison. It's called Cleaning Windows.
I think that sounds better, and thank you very much for your understanding.
No, thank
Now,
you.
speaking of remembering,
Thank you, David Williams of the past. I mean, clearly, this is a fantastic thing. And as the Monsignor said, 2 for 1. 2 for 1 right here. The pleasure is all mine. 2 for 1 shows of his entitled Remembering. Now, again, this is a fantastic thing. Now, of course, a lot of us have been talking about shopping out there. Suppose you were in a supermarket and it said 2 for 1. And you'd be very happy of the fact. You certainly would. And now, but what if the cost of the first thing was free? Then it was 2 for 1. Well, I guess 2 of them, of course, on multiplication by 0 would yield, it would be free. It would be 0 as well. You grab 2. What if there was a sign there, 2 for 1, limit 1, Wow, then you could only take 1 free. But what if the manager came up and tapped you on the shoulder? Go ahead and take another, take another. Well, that would be an act of kindness. And then that would be 2 for free. And this is a fantastic thing. So at this point, yes, a musical interlude of something. So yes, the whole thing, as the Monsignor says, I call it a bargain, the best I've ever had.
I'm paying the price just to get you.
I look at my face in the mirror, I know I'm worth nothing without you. And like 1 and 1 don't make 2, 1 and 1 make 1. And I'm looking for that free ride to me. I'm looking for you.
That was bargain. That was the Who. Fantastic tune. I must say, one of the best stories I've ever had recently about the Who. You know, they returned to Cincinnati, Ohio, from a concert that was done in 1979. It was marred by tragedy. The Who showed up there and they made it right, you know, with music, with a bunch of great tunes. And yes, I had the incomplete story about it and what they said that night from on stage. And it was one of those great rock and roll stories with a very serious tilt to it. And then at the end of it, as I recall, I did a coin flip between two Who songs. And the one that won was You Better You Bet. And then I sang that one as well. You know, certainly did. Yeah, there's a lot of things now, you know, alphabetically, you know, it comes after, you know, on my play or just talk about anything. Well, it's Ozzy. He's always welcome on the program. Ozzy Osbourne, sure. You know, with a bark at the moon. Yeah, and I will admit sometimes appropriate songs, you know, when it comes up, there will be some howling on my part. You know, certainly if let's say I'm doing the song Dogs by Pink Floyd from the 1977 film Animals. Then when the dogs bark, sure, I join them in the barking of it or the howling, whatever they're doing, you know. For example, great song by Dire Straits, you know, Money for Nothing. There's some dog barking. Listen to the song by Dire Straits. You'll hear some dog barking, a little bit of howling in it. And at an appropriate time in one of Ozzy Osbourne's songs, I might have a little bit of fun. Sure, especially if I get like on the Crazy Train. If I get on the Crazy Train with Ozzy Osbourne, I have a lot of fun with that as well. But I'll tell you what, again, time travel, back in time. That's right. Just like in Back to the Future, boom, I've got the flux capacitor. Here we go. That sounds better, you know, and thank you very much for your understanding. Now, speaking of remembering, how about that great Bob Seger song, Understanding? Do you know at one time, Monsignor Jim Vlaun, he started off the song, first of all, as he always does, talking to Stephen Sheldon for a bit, talking about what the topic of the day is going to be, and then he played Misunderstanding by Genesis. Now, what a fantastic thing. And don't forget, Genesis coming to these shores with their concert tour entitled The Last Domino. I say it with a question mark at the end because that's how they put it out there on their flyers, their posters. The Last Domino? Yes, The Last Domino. And I don't know what'll be on the set list, but I'm pretty sure there'll be a domino. Of course, a song from their album Invisible Touch. And there's nothing that you can do when you're next in line. They're going to deliver you pizza. Domino's Pizza will deliver. Or you can pick it up at any of their fine locations. Now, folks, Domino's isn't just pizza anymore. They've got chicken wings. They've got fresh oven-baked sandwiches. They've got pasta dishes. They've got salad. They've got great desserts. My favorite, the 9-piece brownie. And they've got, I think, Coke products to wash it all down with. Yeah, so I just, all I asked for was a small piece of the pie. I see a lot of money to be made by Genesis, Phil Collins, Michael Rutherford, Tony Banks, and the company, Domino's Pizza. I only asked for a very small slice of the pie. I only asked for a very small slice of the pie, and I just want to be very clear about that again. This is a rewind. There was no slice of the pie for me. Absolutely. And Genesis, they didn't make a dime from the Domino routine. Phil Collins, Michael Rutherford, Tony Banks, they didn't make a dime from the thing. And Domino's Pizza, the company, they didn't make a dime from it either. That's because they never picked it up and ran with it for the huge Super Bowl ad that I proposed dealing with the song. Now, Domino, The Last Domino, the concert, well, that was an outstanding show. I talked about it. I read several reviews, whether it was their show in Washington, D.C. or Chicago. I had several reviews, and all of them were great. Now, David, of the past, please. And, is there a routine where I play the song, Domino, and maybe sing a little bit of it with Phil? With Phil Collins? Sure, there is. But again, I don't have time for that. So if you ask me, do I know what I have done, as is sung in the song by Phil when he sings, do you know what you have done? I say, yes, I know what I have done. I created a huge monster. I conceptualized the idea of Domino. I think it could be ready for their Super Bowl next year. I absolutely do. But again, that's up to them whether they want to do it or not. Maybe they want to do some other, commercials. Now, did you see the Domino commercial where the guy does the thing from Risky Business? The Tom Cruise thing. Yes, he sings the Bob Seger song. Do you remember what it was, in the living room, in his underwear and so forth? Do you remember the film, Risky Business? We could talk about the thing, or we could talk about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or any film. For example, this film thing I saw yesterday, this whole sausage party thing, and what happens at that grocery store? What's the name of the grocery? Wasn't it Shopwell? I think it might have been Shopwell. Yes, that's right. Now, I'm looking at a grocery store right now. It's called Stop and Shop. It's probably similar to that cartoon grocery store, Shopwell. Stop and Shop, you can go there, obviously, and shop, if you need to buy anything. There's so many great things here. And remember, I used to live here. So right in front of me, I'm seeing it's a drop-off, a clothing and shoes drop-off. And people come in here, and in their cars, and they drop stuff off. And they're little, there's two of them, blue bins. And in front of them right now is sitting a baby stroller. Someone had dropped it off here, obviously want to donate it to help those less fortunate. And sometimes I talk about that on the program, pretty much anything, Are there people less fortunate than you? In all likelihood, yes. Are there people more fortunate than you? Yes, it's probably true, and other things. For example, Phil Collins and his song Another Day in Paradise. No, I'm serious. From his album But Seriously. Now, when it came out, it's a very popular hit song. It's the last number one hit song of the 80s and the first number one hit song of the 90s. Were there some people over there in the English press that attacked Phil? Yeah, there were people that attacked Phil Collins, and they have continued to do so to this day. Oh, the Monsignor.
Grand Opera House cleaning windows. Interesting, because in our lives we have this tremendous ability to remember, don't we? The old days or days that have gone by. You could probably sit and just conjure up an image of your grandparents and your mom and your dad or your siblings at your whatever 10th birthday party. It's incredible that we have this ability. You know, that's the great gift of humanity, that we have this unbelievable gift to remember in such a way that it literally warms the heart. You know, it warms our hearts to be able to do that kind of thing. I know in my own life, I love that ability to be able to see a photo and say, I remember that. And I have this memory of the, like, days gone by. What's your earliest memory? I can kind of go back to like 4 years old, 5 years old. Not everything, but certain things. And I just remember them. I remember eating a waffle, a Belgian waffle at the World's Fair in like 1965. It's incredible, right? But those abilities that we have really bring those people around. That kind of remembering is holy. That's the remembering that brings these people to our lives. And it's such a tremendous gift. So to start the show, it makes sense that we remember that gift that God has given us, the gift plain of remembering, and how that's such an important remembrance in our lives. Here's Peter Gabriel. This is called I Don't Remember.
Isn't that cool? I think that is so cool. You know, praise God that we can remember and think about things and, you know, talk about them with other people. And I'm happy of the fact. And then he busts into this great hit. Peter Gabriel, of course, used to be frontman for Genesis back in the day. And, you know, what I do remember is that I read a story recently on the program where I talk about a couple of books that are out there, companion books. And again, it was Genesis. They had a book from 1975 before that, the Peter Gabriel era. And then they had one after that, after 1975, the Phil Collins era, you know. And now what happened to Peter? Well, Peter decided, for reasons that was sufficient for Peter, that he wanted to go on and have a solo career. And that's exactly what he did. Now, do I sometimes sing Peter Gabriel tunes on this show? It does happen. Sometimes it's a Salisbury Hill, sometimes In Your Eyes, other hits. But anyway, yeah, I was talking about this thing about, I mentioned Genesis, their concert. The Last Domino? Yes, that's the one, The Last Domino. And, recently they've announced they've expanded the number of dates that they're going to be here in America. And, at first they had dates that were going to start sooner. But owing to COVID,
yes,
those
COVID,
dates had to be pushed.
We blame it on COVID, and that's exactly what happened in real life. And, yeah, now I'm back to myself here. May the 29th, 2022, and I'm going to bust into one of these great tunes, you know. And, yeah, I want to get right in the middle of it, and you got to get in. You just got to. I mean, from their album Turn It On Again, you know, Peter, 1999, rejoins Genesis for the Carper Crawls. I'm just going to crawl. I'm just going to crawl right into the thing. I am.
Those lines will under my naked feet. Soft and warm gives off some kind of heat. A salamander's currents into flame to be destroyed. Imaginary creatures trapped in birth on celluloid. To the golden fleece, hoping they'll find peace. Each thought and gesture, a caught in celluloid. There's no hiding in my memory. There's the callers heard the song in the red oak corridor. For my second sight of people, they go lifeblood than before. They're moving in time to a heavy wooden door, where the meter's eye is waking, closing on the wall. They call them crawlers, keep them crawlers. You gotta get in to get out. You gotta get in to get out. promises that I see. It's something to see. Where the changes seem to be. Like the forest fight for sunlight. It takes root in every tree. Lay a gold on fire to magnet. And leave me there for cross. He had cross. We've gotta get in to get out. We've gotta get in to get out. We've gotta get in to get out. Mom and Superman, I held in kryptonite. And the wise and foolish virgins with their bodies glowing bright. Through the dark, my heart is peace. It's lit by candlelight. It's the bottom of the staircase. Fire, fire, the carpet crawls. He there crawls. Gotta get in to get out. Gotta get in to get out. The carpet crawls. He there crawls. Gotta get in to get out. We gotta get in to get out.
Got something deep down in your rug? Call Acme Carpet Crawler Service today. We'll come over to your home, your apartment. We'll clean those critters out of your carpets today. Give us a call, 607-867-5309. Give us a call, 867-5309. Am I going to do it? What do you think? Of course I'm going to do it. With Tommy? Sure. Tommy, down. Tommy, do down.
Jenny, can I turn to? You give me something I can hold on to. I know you think I'm like the other people. We saw your name and number on the wall. Daddy, I got no number. I need to make you mine. Daddy, don't change your number. 867-5309. Jenny, you hold the bell for me. Oh, you don't know me, but you make me so happy. I tried to call you before, but I lost my head. I tried my imagination, but I wasn't there. Daddy, I got no number. I need to make you mine. Daddy, don't change your number. 867-5309.
fantastic. Now, don't forget, folks, there'll be a quiz at the end of part 2 about that number. Absolutely. And that'll do it for the end of part 1. Beginning of part 2, guess what? Going back in time, well, to what I was doing before. May the 30th of 2021, the Monsignor Show on Remembering. Thank you for listening.